Welcome to Mobile Armor Radio, the podcast for all things Mecha. Jumpship incoming.
Welcome to Mobile Armor Radio, everybody. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you, sir.
Yeah. I'm one of your hosts, Brian.
I'm Chopper.
I'm Rob.
And we're here to talk about big old stompy robot-y things. And it is episode 75.
Yeah, it's a somewhat anniversary. Our 75th. Is that Diamond Jubilee of some sort?
Something.
Diamond Jubilee? What does that even mean? Is that like an ice cream flavor at Baskin Robbins?
Oh, you.
Some special Canadian holiday we don't get here in the States.
It's the Queen just had, before she died, she had her Diamond Jubilee. I don't know how many years it was, though. I don't know what that is.
Aren't those candies at the movie theater?
Jubilees?
Yeah.
No, maybe. I don't know. I've never heard of those.
Oh, those are jujubes.
Those are, yeah.
Jujubes.
Oh, jujubes are the best.
Jujubes. You Canadian and your weird abbreviations.
You never heard
But
of
we're
jujube?
not here to talk about Canadian candy. We're here to talk about giant robots.
I didn't think that was a Canadian candy. They're tasty. It's just gelatin of some sort. Brian trying to keep us on track and get through the intro fast. We refuse.
Yeah. Because that's what I do, is I get through the intro fast. So let's head on over to the Dropship and talk about what we're working on.
Okay. Should be very quick for me.
Dropship landing.
Here we are in the Dropship. This is the section of the show where we talk about all sorts of stuff that we're working on. Sometimes it's a lot of things, sometimes it's very little. Our time really dictates a lot of what happens in here.
It's true.
So I'll start off with Pat. You want to go first?
Yes.
Nice and
Because
easy.
mine is very quick because shortly after Gen Con, which took up a lot of my time for hobby, I went and had carpal tunnel surgery.
Don't show your wound.
There it is. Look at that thing. I have
It's
not
like
been able. I still have stitches in. I still haven't been able. So I haven't been able to do any kind of hobby because I can barely hold a pencil right now.
Well, you should learn to be left-handed.
I did try. I've been, I'm telling you something right now. Trying to cut something with a fork with your left hand is very,
something you're not used to.
very taxing. And my dogs are loving the fact that food comes flying off the table.
Just shooting everywhere.
Yeah, and my shirts. I'm a mess to begin with on a normal basis, but now it's all over. I should have a bib.
Oh,
But hopefully soon this should fix a lot of my problems. And
we should start a GoFundMe for a bib fund.
ooh, that'd be nice. A sporty one, so I could take it to all the restaurants.
It have big lobster on it.
Yeah. No.
I was going to say like a Mad Cat.
Yeah, or something.
A crab.
Yeah. It'd have to be a
It'd
battle.
be like a cancer from like Gundam Wing.
My favorite mech.
What?
But Battlemaster?
Oh, Battlemaster.
Uh,
That doesn't fit the
Battletech.
theme. That's not fun.
So that is my dropship because I am invalid at this moment
Yeah.
from hobby.
That's his excuse this month.
Next month there'll be some kind of therapy that I'm in that I can't do. Pain.
You should be the opposite. It should help your therapy.
Yeah. Well, once the stitches come out, and I can do a little bit more. I mean, like holding a pencil was and putting my seatbelt on in my car.
That's your big steps.
A big moment step for me because I couldn't even push down on the seatbelt to get it into the thing. So
I can imagine. Your
Well,
tendon's
wish
been fixed.
a speedy recovery.
yeah, I mean it's getting faster and faster. I mean I can close my fist into a ball now.
It is the geek disease that's plaguing everyone. Carpal tunnel.
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of our friends have it.
Mhm.
So hope all of you that are recovering from that, a speedy recovery. How about you, Rob? How's your wrist doing?
My wrist hurts, but it's got nothing to corporal tunnel. But for actual things I've done, I haven't done anything. But there is something I want to do. It's just not released at the time of recording, but it should be released by the time this comes out. And that's from Extra Guy. He's coming out with a Birios from Appleseed, and it is the coolest thing ever. And I cannot wait to.
That thing. That thing looks awesome.
Yeah, I cannot wait to print this thing.
If you haven't seen it, definitely go check it out on our Facebook page.
Or look at the picture right now that I have up, because this is an audio-visual medium. It's the reason we're on YouTube.
I keep forgetting that we do that. But if you...
well, we don't get to see what Rob's actually showing.
Exactly. That's right. But,
so I'm just going to start putting mustaches on people. And
sounds about right.
Extra Guy does great stuff. He does a lot of Titanfall and stuff like that, which I'm not as much into, but when he does his anime stuff, I'm all about it.
So. Titanfall is right, but it's not high on my list.
Not to print stuff. I think I printed one of them early on, but I'm definitely printing all these ones, so cannot wait. So that is in the future for me. My printer has been quiet for over a month now, so it finally gets to warm itself back up to print Birios, so excited about that. All right, Brian, it's all on to you now. Hopefully you've done something real.
So, I've done some things. So, I think I mentioned it in the past. I've actually been doing a little bit of a slow grow for Dead Zone and Firefight for Mantic Games, and
never heard of them.
I've entered the phase of the Firefight portion where it's like to get up to 600 odd points. And to do so, I basically selected a whole bunch of the vehicles that I've had laying around. So I'm finally building bigger things. I've got the Enforcer Accuser Interceptor magnetized up so I can swap out all the weapon options on it, and a little set of jet bikes, and I'm planning to paint those up in kind of a Star Wars theme. Looking at the clone, I think they're LAATs.
Yeah, the ones that from the Clone Wars. Yeah.
Though I was looking at trying to find a good paint scheme for it, I'm like, it's mostly just red and white.
And don't they have? I think they have something on the wings though. Don't they have like a pattern or something on the wings?
Not a lot of them. So I'm trying to find those patterns that are a bit more involved than just a very white aircraft. But we'll see what that comes to. And then the jet bikes in a similar fashion, trying to find a good paint scheme that I like that fits the mold there. And then I also, just because I've had it lying around, got myself another mule, and I'm going to set it up to be, I think they're called Broncos in the game, which is basically a truck, and then they add like a tank cannon on the back of it. And so that section is 3D printed, so it's kind of modular and customizable. And so I've got one cannon set up already, and I've got another option ready to go. And so finally getting around to paint that up. It's going to match my kind of Gundam themed GCPS list. And so it's probably going to be mostly a gray mule, kind of matching. I was kind of going for like the 08th MS team.
Yeah, I was going to say that would be perfect for that one.
Yeah. So that'll kind of be where that one lands. But it is like finally happening. I got some downtime to get this painted up. Mostly trying to have it ready for the Michigan GT coming up in September, because we have a Firefight Annihilation event that I'm hoping still happens. We'll have to see if the attendance is high enough to make it work.
If anybody listening from Michigan, you can jump in. I'm sure Brian has a whole other army you can borrow, so you can ask him to borrow an army to play.
If you want to play Firefight Annihilation with a bunch of Gundams, heck yeah. But all that said, so I finally have some stuff on my painting table, and as I was telling these guys, I've had to do some late nights at the day job. It kind of became a little bit of a night job as I've been on call. So great time to get some painting done while I wait for nothing to happen. Fingers crossed. But yeah, so that's been the big part of what I've been working on. So actually, stuff happening. It's cool.
Nice. Yeah, I will mention that these this is all 28 millimeters, so these vehicles are quite large, especially the Interceptor.
Yeah.
They're huge.
Mm-hmm.
The Interceptors, I would say about maybe anywhere between 6 and 8 inches.
Like the width of my face.
If you knew the width of Ryan's face, you know how big an Interceptor is.
Yeah. For all you know, he's got the width of his face is 16 inches.
I got one over there, but it's buried behind about 30 3D printed mechs, so I'm not going to dig it out.
Yeah, mine's down in the basement.
Yeah, so that's what I've got on the table. I'm actually kind of hoping that spurs me into getting some more of my stuff painted up. But we'll kind of see how it goes from there. Otherwise, I've got a spool of green filament that I've been printing just stuff of, like green alien plants and whatnot. So
that's neat.
Yeah, but trying to get it tuned so that I can print off the Mantic terrain that they recently made available through Frontiers.
What did I do with all that toning that I brought back?
Yeah, Pat had a bunch of. Well, we'll get into it, but he's missing it.
No.
Well, I won't delay any further. We can hop on over to the ComStar so you guys can talk all about Gen Con.
Yeah, sounds good.
Message from ComStar.
Welcome back to the show. We are talking about the ComStar section,
really big shoe,
which is where the big shoe. Giant robots have big shoes. This is where we talk about TVs, movies, books, comics, RPGs, video games, everything under the sun, including big events like what you guys went to. So should we cover news and then talk Gen Con?
It's up to you. You're in charge.
All right. Well, I got a couple of things. I know Rob always has a list, so I'll start with mine, and then we can roll into your guys.
All right.
Just wanted to mention, for those that don't know, Gundam Breaker 4 actually just recently came out. If you're unfamiliar with the Gundam Breaker franchise, it's basically the Gundam Build Fighters, the video game, where you get like literally the model kits of different grade sizes, impacts both the stats as well as the literal size of the mech that you're building and assembling together. Can do a whole bunch of crazy customization and then take them out into different types of battles. Some are more kind of story-like and thematic to the different settings, as well as ones that are like literally fighting on a hobby tabletop with a whole bunch of open Gunpla boxes everywhere. It's a really fun series. I played previous entries of, so it's really cool to see it kind of come back. A lot of Gundam games kind of went like in the mobile direction for a while, or some other styles of games have come out. But the Breaker series has always been like rock solid, really fast and kinetic play, really fun time, and I've heard really good reviews for it. So wanted to put that out there, as well as the Gurren Lagann movies that came out many moons ago. I believe they just had a theatrical release with the new English dub. And by new English dub, I mean they mostly got the same old cast to reprise their roles. I mean, if you think about it, I almost want to say, has it been 10 years since that movie actually came out, or those two movies? So, like, it's great that they were able to reunite the majority of the cast. I know at least one person they had to replace because they had retired since then. But you got Yuri Lowenthal voicing Simone, and a whole bunch of other great folks filling out that cast. The English dub for Gurren Lagann was top notch.
Cool.
And so it's really cool to have that be a theatrical release too. So yeah, wanted to give a shout out to that series. Definitely check it out if you get a chance to. It is out there. And yeah, otherwise, that kind of sums up my my newsworthy things. So I'm gonna hand it over to Rob, go through your news, and then
Well, I'm Canadian. I don't know if you ever knew this. I don't know if they've ever mentioned it before, but Macross is on Disney Plus in Canada. It's not in the States yet, I don't think. Maybe by the time this comes out, it might be. But so far, it's only Frontier and Delta, which are available, which are
the newest ones, yeah.
Yeah, so I can't wait to watch them. I haven't watched any yet, but I will. But yeah, it's available in Canada if you're Canadian.
I might have to VPN it.
Or just wait. It's going to be on Disney Plus in the States. I don't know why they delayed it. They have some licensing thing, I'm sure.
It's always licensing thing.
Yeah. The other streaming news is that Pacific Rim is supposedly getting a prequel series, early development. So who knows if it's actually going to happen? But hopefully, they didn't say it was live action or anime, but I assume the way they were talking, it was live action, which would be interesting. But yeah, I would love to see more Pacific Rim because I love it. Obviously, it's right there. Look at that, Pacific Rim Black. And speaking of Pacific Rim, there's only about probably a couple days left in this. There's a Kickstarter for Pacific Rim Final Breach. It's a graphic novel. It's on Kickstarter. The link will be in the show notes. And yeah, it's the end instead of a prequel. It's the sequel to Pacific Rim. So it's going to be tying up all the loose ends, I guess, in that. So if you're interested in comic books or graphic novels, if you're fancy, it's available. So check it out. Legendary Comics, they've done quite a few Kickstarters, so they're pretty reliable guys. So go for it. I think actually I have the other. We got the. I think you went in on it too, didn't you, Pat? The other Pacific Rim omnibus.
Yes.
Yeah. So
it's downstairs.
Everything's downstairs to Pat. Other big news is John Barros, friend of the show, teamed up with One Page Rules. So his mechs are officially compatible with their Grimdark rules. Once again, we have a link in the show notes.
Grimdark rules? That sounds so familiar.
Yeah. Well, it's One Page Rules is doing everybody else's stuff, but in simpler rules so you can actually enjoy yourself. So there was a little press release for them, and yeah, so go check that out, the show notes. Yep, he's got a lot of deals on right now too with all his stuff with that, and I think he even has a free mech available. So go to that's a lot of that is in our Facebook group too. You can check out all that information. We're always posting there. That's it, I think, for the news. We can get on to a certain little convention that we go to every year, if you want to, Pat.
Go ahead.
Oh, well, we went to Gen Con.
Gen Con? What's that?
Well, that would be the biggest game convention in the States, I would say.
It's
this year, I think, was the record-breaking crowd, right? How much did they say?
Yeah, it sold out before it even started. Yep.
Yeah, all the passes. I think this is the first time ever that all the passes sold out.
Before it opened, yeah. Before day one. Even
you couldn't even get a Sunday pass, which was weird.
Even day passes.
Pass.
Which we thought was weird because when we were because we work in the booth at the dealer hall for Mantic, and it seemed not as busy. It was weird that it was that sold out, but not as busy.
Thursday was crazy.
Yeah, Thursday was crazy, but after that it was like this seems less. Yeah,
Taylor, but I think, and I don't know who we were talking with, and we were just thinking maybe it was, what's the word I'm looking for? Weird, maybe economic reasons why people weren't shopping as much.
Yeah, spending.
But there were still a lot of people playing games though. So like if you went out into the convention center, into the other hotels where all the games are being played, they said it was packed.
Yeah, we were stuck in the dealer hall for show operating hours because that's just the way it worked. But but yeah, I think that's a lot of it was economics. Like people had enough money; they'd spend a lot of money to go to Gen Con. Like hotels are ridiculous, food's ridiculous.
And I noticed there wasn't a lot of window shopping.
No, it was people were coming for
coming for a certain thing.
Yep.
And buying, and if they did stop to look, there was a lot of debate. Well, if we get this, then we can't get this kind of a thing.
Yeah, a lot of people were like, "This is my one purchase of the weekend," kind of thing. There's a lot of that, and even I also didn't buy that much at Gen Con, which is unusual for me. I didn't buy anything from Catalyst. I didn't buy anything from Iron Wind Metals. Like that's unusual. Like it wasn't it wasn't like I was purposely not doing it. I just got my Kickstarter in.
Kickstarter?
So yeah. So a lot of the Battletech stuff, I was like, I'm Battleteched out. But I did pick up Edge Runner's box set for Cyberpunk Red, which brings it into 2077, which is kind of fun, and brings it into the anime. They did announce that too, that they're doing more 2077 anime too, which I can't wait, because that's Edge Runners is amazing. So, and I also got Mike Pondsmith's son Corey did Corey. I can't remember. He starts with C, anyways. He did his own game now called what's right here, which is called Shadow Scar. And it's like a sort of like multi-dimensional, like SWAT team kind of thing, I think, from what I'm getting from it. I haven't really looked it over, so it's kind of fun. Yeah, other than that, I didn't buy much of anything else. We did go, when I was in Chicago, we did go to, what's that Japanese place called? Patrick?
Oh, Mitsuya.
Mitsuya, yes.
Yeah, and we posted a bunch of some of the new Gundams they had for sale,
and giant Gundam.
Official Gundam giant. It's not giant, I would say, but it's more.
It's human sized.
Human sized. Life size would be the wrong word to say.
It's human sized.
It was human sized.
It's a small child.
Marks. I guess it's the mark of an official Bandai store. So
to have that little statue, it was cool. Yep, if you're ever in Chicagoland area, it is a cool place to go. We shopped around for a lot of Japanese food,
especially if you're looking for anime and mechs and nice Japanese stuff
and like Asian cuisine too,
and I was gonna say and Japanese groceries. It's all in one spot.
And those little pocket machines, or what do they call the balls that come
out? We almost bought some. But
they're expensive. They're expensive, but
they had a whole bunch there, and I almost bought an Ultraman one, but then when I was
doing the math, it was like what's it's like
$8 to get one of those things. It's like whoa.
Yeah, it wasn't. Anything you have a lot more stuff that you actually purchased, Pat?
Yeah, I mean, back related, I didn't get much, like you said, because I got my Kickstarter also. But I will say I did buy the new Heroescapes, not for the game, but for the tiles to use in Battletech, the hex tiles that come with the Heroescapes. That being said, I bought this big giant-ass box, thinking there was going to be a lot of tiles. Turned out it was just a medium amount of tiles and a lot of the figures for the game. So, in retrospect, I should have paid for the less box of just terrain.
Yeah, and we got sent on somebody lied to us. Someone lied to us about what was in there.
And it's not one of those games that was part of my childhood, so I'm not missing anything.
I wonder if you could just sell the minis and keep the terrain.
Well, I might just paint the minis because some of the minis are pretty nice.
Well, some painted, you'll make even more money.
Someone, one of our friends bought the painted one, and he says they were not painted very well.
Yeah, they said they were worse than like the WizKids ones.
Yeah, and it was $100 more to buy the painted set as opposed to the unpainted set, which is what I got. So if I bought the painted set on top of,
you'd be super angry.
Not getting as much tiles as I wanted, I would have been very angry.
Yeah, I heard
that being said, the tiles are awesome, and I think they'd be great for Battletech.
That's the original ones. People were hoarding them for Battletech, so it's good they're coming back.
In retrospect, I should have just got the tiles and not the one with the fig. But I expected it's the ones with the fig, so I should get more tiles.
Wow, somebody told us that was happening, and they were just. It wasn't an employee of the company either. It was one of our friends. It tricked us.
I got suckered, and not so much in a sense, but now that I have the game, maybe we'll try it. I don't know. I'll have to bust it out one of these days and read the rules.
You also bought a bunch of Shadowrun stuff. You went Shadowrun crazy.
I did a bunch of 6-run stuff. Yeah, I didn't go crazy. I bought
You went crazy.
not at Catalyst, but in general, because I'm trying to catch up with the 6th edition version, which is currently out. So I bought the 4 main core source books that you need, plus a critter one, and then I already had the core rules, so I didn't need that. But yeah.
Oh, and you bought the remake of the original Shadowrun too.
Oh yeah, I did about the Catalyst reprinted the first edition rules with the cover and
Larry Elmore cover.
The Larry Elmore cover, which
Yeah.
is cool because then my mom found a box of bookses.
Bookses.
What am I, Gollum?
Booksies. Precious booksies.
Precious booksies. So my mom found a box of books that I had at her house still from, I don't know how long they've been there, 20 plus years. And she goes, "Do you want these?" And I said, "Well, take a picture of it." And then it was a lot of my old role-playing books. So I said, "Yes, I want those. Send them to me." And I took the stock. And so a lot of it was my old Shadowrun stuff too, which is another reason why Rob says I went Shadowrun crazy. Because then I started trying to get all my first edition stuff up to date with some of the books that I'm missing.
Gotcha.
But the cool thing was that the Shadowrun first edition book I got is still in really good condition.
And I think the binding.
Apparently, at one point in my life, I was at a convention with it, and Larry Elmore signed it for me, and I don't even remember meeting up Larry Elmore.
Sound like me.
Nice.
So I opened it up, and it says, I forget what it says, but it said blah blah blah, and it had my name underneath it. I'm like, oh, when did I get Larry Elmore to sign this book?
You probably didn't know he was at the time. You're probably, it's like, oh, it's Shadowrun guy.
No, I knew Elmore because it was from the Dragon magazine.
Yeah, that's true.
But,
yeah, he's pretty famous.
But
Dragonlance.
at that point, it must. The only thing I can think of it because I never took Shadowrun at Gen Con. The only time I ever really did a lot of Shadowrun because I met the FASA people at OrcCon in LA when they would come out for that and get to know them pretty well.
So it must have been there.
So it must have been somewhere in LA. But other than that,
well, we know what happens in LA, Pat. We know what happened to Gygax in LA. We know what happened to you in LA.
So, another thing more mech related too is that I guess they were giving free books when you bought something because I found a Battletech book in one of my bags from Michael Stackpole.
Just randomly.
Yeah, I got two. I got because I went back to Choice because I went and bought something and then went back and bought some more stuff because I
feel like they did that at Adepticon too. Like something you buy and they'll throw a book in there.
Yeah, so it was Malicious Intent by Michael Stackpole, which I because I can't do anything else, so I started reading that book. I don't think I ever read it too. It was like it continues when Clan Wolf gets destroyed into non-existence, and then the leader of Clan Wolf tries to get his get the clan back from Jade Falcon.
Yeah, that's a more recent book actually.
Is it really?
Yeah. That's yeah.
Because it says it came out in 1996, so
96? I don't think it was that early. Was it really?
Yeah.
Wow. Then it must have been a Dark Age book at the time.
Actually, I looked it up because I was curious. It's a Clan Invasion era book.
Anyways.
And then there was another Shadowrun book. There were two books because I got two different bags. So I guess it was just like a hodgepodge of books.
Just random books, yeah.
Just throw them in a bag.
That's
and
cool.
It was a new Shadowrun book from Jason Hardy, one of the guys who wrote the newer rules for Shadowrun. But I think that's it. Like everything else, I didn't have much. I didn't have a desire to get a lot of stuff this time. Mech-wise, we did not see. Oh, I take that back. I can't even remember what kind of Gundam it was. But my retirement from Mantic Company, Mantic Games, was this show, and in appreciation, one of the owner, Ronnie, got me a Gundam model. Do you remember what it was?
I don't remember. It was one of the ones we were looking at Metsuo, which was fun.
Yeah, and it's a master grade. It was really cool, and it's down in the basement, or else I would pick it up and show it to everyone.
Newer Gundam, older Gundam?
I think it was a newer Gundam.
Did you? I don't know if you ever posted a picture of it, but
because I didn't take a picture of it.
Yeah, that was nice of them. They didn't know what to get him, so they got him a Gundam.
Yeah, well, they know.
Good choice.
The Pathfinders got him a golden throne because he was always the pharaoh to us.
That is right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then I got a copy of Halo game.
Oh yeah, that was the reason that
fun.
Mantic was big. Was Halo was premiered at the show. So if anybody's into Halo, check it out from Mantic Games. Even though Pat doesn't work for him anymore, so.
Well, I'll always be part of that company. In spirit.
I do want to give a. Oh, sorry.
Aren't you wearing the shirt?
Yeah, he's currently wearing a Mantic shirt. So. I do want to give a shout out to Brandon, who stopped by and said hi to us at the show.
Yeah. He came by a couple times. Very, very, very fine gentleman he was.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah,
though he didn't warn me that Star Trek role-playing game was going to sell out.
Yeah, Pat wanted to.
Thanks for the warning, buddy.
Pat wanted to buy from Modifius was the new Star Trek rules. We didn't know it was new rules, like the new version that was only available at Gen Con. Otherwise, we would have been more serious about buying it. We were like, it'll be there, and it sold out. So,
yeah, well, I'll just get it when it comes back. But the problem was that Modifius, and if you're listening, you should be a little more dealer friendly at these shows, because every time we went back to try and buy it, they wouldn't have a till, so we couldn't get it. And then once the show starts, then we're locked in.
You can't get there. Yeah. Everybody else kind of sells before the show starts to dealers, and they were very not conducive to doing that. And they've in the past they've been the same way, because I wanted to buy Dream Machines off them, which is their mech game, and once again they didn't care. So whatever, they lost out on Pat's sale, but they also sold out, so it didn't matter to them.
I mean, not that my sale matters, but
But I have to say they are British, so it says a lot.
It matters to Pat. So
it doesn't. It is. I'm
everybody else, but he bought a very weird miniature for his wife from Kingdom Death, so they were very nice to open up early.
Yeah, and he was. Yeah, he was.
Let's just say it's a PG show. We can't say what this miniature was, but it's Kingdom Death. Look it up.
That guy was very nice. My wife has a weird artistic taste when it comes to things, and I go, so she likes the teeth. I'll say it right now. So I asked, you got anything that's got a lot of teeth? And he goes, well, I got this thing. And then it had a lot of hands on it on top of things.
And tentacles and
yeah.
It was
horrific. Was all about it. So I bought it for her, and that thing is nuts.
Yeah. So she's a artist, so we can't wait to see what she does with it. So
yeah. Well, she wants me to put it together for her, so I have to, once I can get this done.
Yeah. It's all your fault.
I'll put it together for her. I mean, once I get the stitches out, I might try and start doing it, because that'll help with my rehab.
We do look forward to going to Gen Con as attendees, not as workers. That'd be kind of fun. So hopefully next year we can actually hang out with people and do things.
Yeah, that's the one bad thing about going as an exhibitor, is that you have no time to do anything.
And by the time you're done, you're so tired. You're like,
I would have loved to chat with Brendan more, but we're just so busy, and
I lost my voice on the second day. Yeah. Like it was.
Like I was having a conversation with him for a little bit, and then
people would come.
So I have to stop our conversation, and then,
Yeah. And I was demoing Halo constantly, so.
Yeah.
I was like, my voice went, and then we went to the German place, and I ate some bad cabbage or something, and I almost died in the night. And then I was just like,
I think you were the only one. I think you were the only one that ate that cabbage, though. So it must have been that.
It was. I literally thought I was going to die. It was so bad. So I had a rough weekend, but it was still fun, and we had fun before and after, as always. So it's always good to go to Chicago and then drive that long drive to Indy.
Yeah, we walked around a little bit too, and I didn't see any of the other Japanese companies that usually come by and see any of the Robotech stuff. I was looking for that as we walked around.
Yeah, we saw the Strange Machine guys. They were there. We saw them because.
We did see them.
That was way over the one side, but it wasn't. This year wasn't crazy Mecha. Oh, we did go to FASA and talk about the Leviathans Kickstarter that just happened. Those ships are huge. We just found out we're like, why are these ships so expensive? They're huge.
Like when I was filling out my backer kit, and I was like, why am I only getting 2 ships in this game? And do I want to add more ships? And so I was looking to add more ships. They were like $40-$50 a pop. And I'm like, holy smokes, why are these things so? So I opted not to get any extra, and then see what they look like in Gen Con. And now I can see why they're 30 or 40 years. Because they're enormous,
and they're painted. They have a nice paint jobs, and they're cool. Yeah, it's Leviathan, and it's going to be. They said it was compatible with Interceptor too. I think so.
Yes,
it's pretty cool, and it's the large scale. Like back in the day, Leviathan was the capital ships space game. So
and Interceptor was the
more fighters.
Was the more fighters one. So.
Can't wait for that. That'll be fun.
Yeah. We did see, like you said, we did see the stranger guys, but every time we walked by, they weren't at the booth yet. So
or they were just busy,
by. Yeah,
there's
a chance to stop by and say hi.
Yeah, it was yeah, there's just very busy, like generally for us because of Halo. So it was not a lot of free time. Usually we get to leave the booth, and we're also kind of short staffed this year too. So we usually get to leave the booth and walk around a bit and have check things out. I don't think I left the booth maybe twice. Once I went to try to go to Mid-Iphias to buy the books and it was sold out. So, but
like, why did I even leave?
That was a Sunday too, though.
Yeah,
that was like
because we're like, this is our final chance. Let's go for it, and then it was not there. Yeah, I don't even think I bought anything from Chaosium. I always buy stuff from certain companies, and I just didn't this year. So it was a very weird year for me, but it's good. I saved money.
But it was good.
Yeah. In this economy?
Normally we get more mech stuff, but I think because of the Kickstarter.
Yeah, I literally have a pile in my corner that is like a small child. I feel
like the Kickstarter definitely probably was a big impact, probably for a lot of people actually, getting a lot of stuff all at once and not needing much more.
Wow, and we didn't even get that much. People are still like, they did it in the Kickstarter fulfillment. They did it like from lowest to highest, and some of those people are still waiting for their stuff. But I'm seeing like right now, people are getting like 4 or 5 boxes full of stuff.
Yeah,
like,
it's crazy.
Wow.
It's crazy how much people spent on that. So good for them. But they had to wait a long time to get their stuff. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up Gen Con. I don't think, other than lots of great food in Chicago as always. Lots of we had a really nice meal at a Greek place that the owner was talking to us, telling us stories. Nice old Greek guy.
Yeah. That place has been there since the 60s or 70s.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Really good food too, but it's always good food everywhere. Even we had really good food in Indy, which is unusual because usually Indy is not the best. But we went way outside of downtown and we found some really good places. So we're not going to tell anybody where they are because they'll ruin everything. But
yeah, because when we're there as regular people,
yeah, we don't want people to steal.
We don't want people stealing our spots.
There was a really good ramen place. It was really, really good ramen and chicken place. And
I mean, we have Ratskeller. The Ratskeller is always a good place, but
it is. It poisoned me though, but it was good. It was still good.
Well, that's your own fault for eating cabbage.
Cabbage.
It's your own fault for getting food poisoning.
Well, I don't know if it was food poisoning. I think maybe I had some it was more like an allergic reaction. It was like it wasn't like food poisoning where I wasn't like sick in my stomach. It was more like I had like hot flashes and my joints ached. Like it was something really weird. It wasn't like food poisoning. It was
you got German COVID.
Yeah, no, it was like an instant COVID that went away in like a day. It was like, what? This is weird. But it was
cool.
Germans. Don't trust them. That's about it. That's all I have to say about Gen Con.
Well, really cool. So I think with that, we'll move on into the MechBay Hanger and do our roundtable topic for today.
Cool.
Now entering the MechBay Hanger.
Welcome to the MechBay Hanger. This is our part of the show where we kind of pick a topic for the month and talk about it. So thought I'd do the topic I went with was one that was kind of jumbling around in my head where I've been meaning to. I've got a lot of friends that play a lot of different games, and admittedly, I only play a handful myself, and like go in a big way. Mostly, won't lie, mostly in the Mantic side of things. Like something about their games.
You're also forced to play them as a Pathfinder, so.
I mean, you say forced, but like when I go to the game store, I'm like,
chose to be a Pathfinder.
I chose. This is a volunteer thing.
Yeah, that's right.
So like I really like those games, but at the same time, I have been finding it's like I have games or friends that play a lot of different games. Had a group that went and played Battletech, Alpha Strike last week. And I wasn't able to actually go because I was on Storm.
Damn you, Storm calls.
And but it kind of got me thinking. It's like, it would be kind of nice to just have like a starter set's worth of mechs that I like a list that I know I can play and don't go in a big way, just enough to play and have fun with somebody, and just kind of spark that idea of like, oh, what would make a good starting list or starting set? And and I kind of just, pitched it to these guys, and so wanted to just discuss like what have we found in our experiences, like what are those starter sets that really work well. If we have examples, that's great. For me, like I have a lot of experience on the Mantic side of things, and so I can say like their starter sets have consistently been very solid as far as providing everything you need to play and enough models and to play competitively, actually, like out of the box, I think is a huge selling point for their sets, especially with how cheap, like money wise, they actually cost. You get a lot of value for what you're paying in for. Like you can literally.
This isn't sponsored by Mantic, by the way.
No. Like, but to speak to like what I look for in a starter set, like something that
you
I
like
can go
the more
from the box to play a complete game experience is a big selling point for me. I've seen a lot of other games where you get a starter set, and you need 3 of those before you can really play. In some cases, obviously it depends on the game and what kind of model count and everything like that. But that's kind of what is a big selling point for me, is a decent amount of minis, or at least high quality ones, that then I can take and play with some extra combinations and have a good time.
You obviously want the full rule book too, then, right? Because a lot of starters don't come with a full rule book.
Full rule book is absolutely a big one for me. If I'm doing like a 2-player starter set, absolutely. If I'm like going for like just a faction to get started in a game, probably that I might already know, like that's also a big selling point as well.
Yeah, some games do that, but because a lot of the Battletech ones, the beginner boxes and stuff, don't come with a full rule set. They just come with like the starter rule set.
And they come with, but they do come with a decent set. But to add to Brian and I have kind of the same feeling about what should be in a starter set, but I'm also more price worthy at this point. I mean, is what I'm paying for this 2-player starter set worth the money they're charging me for?
Especially if you don't know what you're getting into.
Yes.
That's why I think the Mantic ones are great, because we know what you're getting into, but they're also a little bit pricey for a starter set. Like,
Yeah. But as far as 2-player starter sets, they're running the cusp, but you are getting a decent
amount of money. Everything,
you're also getting full rules. You're getting a full rule book. You're not getting an abbreviated set. You're getting everything you need to play out of the box.
But meanwhile, you buy like the beginner box is only like $20 from Battletech, but you don't get the full rules. You only get 2 mechs, but it gets you into the game and starts playing it. So if you're interested in the game, I almost like that better, because if it's a game don't know if I'm going to be interested in, I'd rather have a really low entry point, right?
Where it's kind of like you're saying, the beginner box, and they'll do like the cardboard standees. I think I've seen
extra
the
ones.
Box. I got one of those. No, I can definitely see that. Like it's something where low buy-in is definitely, I think, a big plus, right? To something that's
that's a 2 different that's a 2 different philosophies. Obviously, Mantic does let's give them everything so they're ready to go, and then Battletech, they also have their regular sets too, which have a lot more in it, but their beginner sets are definitely set for this isn't a full game. This is just wet your toe,
Dip your plus one good thing about Battletech and Catalyst is that they also give you an option, and Mantic does this too, and some other companies do this as well, but I'm going to use Battletech as the example. What Catalyst does is that if you like Brian just wants to get into Battletech, me and you, Rob, have been playing forever, so we got a lot of stuff, but Rob wants his own thing. So one of the things that Battletech does do is make those little boxes, lances and stars.
Oh yeah.
That you can pick something. You can say, I want a little bit of both, so you can take like a heavy set lance or a medium set lance.
Yeah, it gives you a full lance right there just to play with. Gives you Elf Strike cards in the box, so you have all the stats.
So you have to do is just buy the figs. You don't need the rules because me and Rob have them ready.
Well,
at this point. I mean, that's like one of the options that you can do with Catalyst, is because they have those boxes.
And the thing with Battletech is there's rules, and then there's rules, and then there's more rules. It's because there's different levels of play. Like, there's so many advanced rules that there's literally books and books of just advanced rules. So it really is how deep you want to go with Battletech. Mm-hmm. Alpha Strike's a lot different. Like, Alpha Strike's got, now I think it's down to one book, which is nice. The Commander's Edition, which that you just need that book and a few mechs and you can play. Like, there's a website called Master Unit List that has all the stats for Alpha Strike, so you don't even have to have the cards. The cards are nice because you can they get plasticized, so you can mark on them your heat levels and stuff. So.
Nice.
Yeah, but
all you need is a grease pen.
Yeah, other starter sets. Like, I'm trying to think of anything else. Oh, another thing in a starter set should have, especially for a miniature game, is terrain. I think that's important, especially for games like Dead Zone and Battletech, where terrain is important.
Definitely where terrain is a factor. Something is really good.
Like
Dead Zone in particular is like that 3-dimensional aspect. Like, you need the structures to really play the game.
And they give you full on plastic terrain too. It's like Lego for plastic. So it's a little harder to start. It's a little bigger barrier to entry because you have to put it together.
A little bit, yeah.
Whereas Alpha Strike, I know, has the cardboard terrain, which is very flimsy. I don't like that cardboard terrain. But Halo, Halo Flashpoint from Mantic, has this cardboard terrain it's like coated, and it's really solid. So you can fold it back up, put it back in the box, which that's really nice. So I think I'd rather have the full, like for a starter set, I'd rather have the foldable, just put it away terrain. And then if you want to go big, go buy the expensive terrain sets later, but... Like, Dead Zone is a different beast, though. That is, it's all about the terrain. Like, that is the game, really. Everything else is secondary to the 3D terrain. So, really, the game was built to show off their 3D terrain. So, back in the day.
Right.
Yes. I mean, Ignition Core, when they first started, they had a very good 2-player set. They gave you a lot of models for 2 factions, but the rules were free. You can download them. I think they even had print your own cardboard terrain that you can put on the thing, but you don't need a lot of terrain for Ignition Core.
Yeah, it's not the same. There's that's another thing. I think more games, and a lot of companies do. I think even Dead Zone, once again, I think all the rules are free online now. It's the rules should be free. It's especially miniature games. Maybe not, like, obviously not RPGs, because the rules are the selling point. But for miniature games, you want to sell the plastic, so the rules should be free, or at least easy entry, like web apps or whatever, to get all the rules.
It seems like the market has kind of gone that way, right, where there's a little bit of a first step in is kind of a model agnostic as much as needed, because they assume that people have
something
models from other games, but I think that's a great option too, is having the rules available, and then for free online is a great entry point for a lot of folks, and then the ability to try it out with a couple of quick little model kits or other starter widgets and doodads is always a big one. Any other ones that kind of come to mind in your guys' experience?
Again, Redline is another one that comes.
Card game, that's nice and easy. Yeah, you're buying decks.
Very nice and very. You get 2 starter decks and all the things you need in the core set, and it's fairly affordable.
Yeah.
I mean, nowadays you're starting to see card games come out with 2-player sets where you need everything. But in the past,
Magic,
it used to be that way.
Yeah.
You had to buy a deck. Brian had to buy a deck. Rob, you had to buy a deck, and then we sat down and played.
And it was all, back in the day, especially with Magic, it was all random too. So you could have a real dud of a deck.
And then the guys at Redline, they're doing good, and they just add more sets, not necessarily more cards. You can add the cards to your make a deck out of the existing cards.
But they're also doing more factions too, so you have just more options for your decks. Yeah. I'm trying to think of other starter sets, like RPGs do starter sets. I know the Cyberpunk Red one, it had a lot of pre-gen characters and stuff in it. That's always good. But once again, I know the full rules weren't in there, and the rules changed quite a bit when the actual rule book came out. So it was the starter set was almost not that useful. So that's a hard thing when it's a pre-starter set before the actual game comes out. I'm trying to think if I know. D&D has that does starter sets all the time for their trying to get people to play their games, and they're always super cheap, and they get you in. But once again, it's like I think it lets you get up to like level 2 or something. It really is limiting what you can do with those. Because they just want you to put your little toesies in. They want you to buy the real stuff, which costs hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
So
by then they've got you.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of any other starter sets. The thing is, there's a lot of board games that just you don't need. Like that's it. Like one and done.
Board games are not sort of, but it's really miniatures and card games and
role playing games. Yeah.
I think
is like
to make sure you get. I mean, because you can go the route of GW and you can have a very nice starter set, but you don't get everything. Then you still have to buy extra books.
Yeah,
and you're definitely going to buy extra models because that's just the way they design their starter sets.
I'm trying to think if anybody else like Heavy Gear doesn't do one, Cav doesn't do one. Like more companies should do.
Yeah, Heavy Gear didn't though. They do have army boxes.
Yeah,
but you had to buy a box. I had to buy a box.
Yeah,
and then we had to
bought
buy
the rules separately. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't. I'm trying to think of other companies who actually do. I know Infinity does. Infinity always does their different. Almost every year they have a new box set out with different factions. That's the Dead Zone too with different. I like the combinations. Like it's not always you can choose the starter set that fits you. That's always fun too when you.
Yeah.
For like Battletech, this is what you get. You get these 2 mechs. That's it. They don't. I don't even think between the beginner boxes. I think it's the same mechs in them, even the different versions. But. I like the idea of having 2 different factions. Battletech's a funny thing about factions, though, because factions don't really matter in Battletech, because it's the mechs can be pretty much for anybody. So that's everybody always wonders about Battletech. About to get into it, I want to play this faction. It's like play whatever mechs you want. It doesn't matter. So yeah, but other games, it's obviously very important. Which if you want to play orcs or enforcers or Asterians or whatever, new what's the new guys Night Stalkers?
Night Stalkers?
Night Stalkers. It's not Night Stalkers and Macedon. That's a starter set, isn't it? Night Stalkers and Macedon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So. If anybody wonders, Macedon are space lizards that are look like sumo wrestlers, so and kind of like samurai.
And samurai.
Yeah. And the Night Stalkers are crazy, nightmare creatures.
Eldritch horror kind of.
Pretty much, yeah.
Eldritch horror is a good way to put it.
So if you ever want to have lizard sumo wrestlers fighting Eldritch horrors, jeez, that's hard to say. There's the game for you. But I'm trying to think of any other starter sets. Obviously, Shadowrun had one. I have the 6-world starter set. It's fine. Once again, it's not the full rules. Like a lot of the RPG ones don't give you the full rules. I've noticed that.
Yeah. So I mean, when it comes down to what makes a good starter set, which is what we're really kind of doing, it's quality and quantity.
Quality components too,
striking a good balance, right?
Yeah, and if you're not going to get full rules, then you should have something to balance that out.
Yeah, the cheaper price point is
That's a great way to put it, right? Is if you're not getting kind of the complete experience or whatever, that you should see that the price point kind of reflects that.
So, yeah.
Yes.
And then recognize that what you're getting is the taste, right? You're getting the little sample.
Yeah, this is the tasting menu, not the main course.
Yeah, and then as it moves up, and you're looking at army boxes or 2-player sets, and like rules are included, you are gonna have to expect that price point to go up a bit, but at the same time, you really should at that level be able to really play the game to its fullest. So
100%.
I was just looking around my room just to see if there's anything else. I do have the Blade Runner starter set. That thing is gorgeous. Like those Free League guys, they make the best products. It is so beautiful, but it's it's a little taste. I have the actual rule book too, but like I say, those RPG ones, it's always a taste. They don't give you the full experience. Yeah. I think I have the Alien one too, actually. Yeah. So I think, especially for miniature games, terrain. A mat? Do you think a mat's if it's like
mats? Because mats are a dime a dozen now. You can get those
some games like BattleTech need hexes and Dead Zone needs cubes like that.
Yeah, but you get a paper mat with that, and that's fine.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like just a paper mat.
Yeah, paper mat. Makes sense.
Plastic miniatures.
So,
I remember back in the day, the BattleTech sets never came with plastic miniatures. They only had the standees.
Yeah, I mean, but that was just about every game in the '80s.
Yeah,
Only
but
had standees.
I know.
and then they went pewter.
Well, they had the miniatures right away. It just they were back then they were quite expensive to get each of the miniatures.
Right.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else that you guys like full rulebook if the price is right.
Yeah.
What about full size rulebook or the mini rulebooks that some games come with, like the digest size?
I hate mini rulebook. It's full size.
Because your eyes are hard to read those little words.
Well,
in the
I'm old,
books.
yeah.
I won't lie. The first time I was trying to read the Red Line rulebook,
it's really small.
where it's really tiny.
It's like the old Magic.
Rather small font.
Yeah.
It was a little.
You're
rough.
like, I'm getting old.
Yeah, I'm like my glasses will let an average person see footprints on the moon. Like, so I'm just like trying to read this thing. But yeah, I do like the fuller rule books myself. Yeah. And again, recognizing that if I'm paying less, then either like getting the rules for free online or some other method or an abridged version. A lot of people am okay with abridged versions of rules that are more complex because sometimes
you don't want to get overwhelmed. Yeah. Like Battletech, it's overwhelming if you try to play the full game right away. Like you have to get eased into it. I know Pat hates digital rule books, so
I do.
Like paper.
I didn't say I don't hate them, but I like to have them in addition to. But if I had to choose between one or the other,
I like both.
I like hardcover.
Well, I do too, but I like digital more. I think.
And digital.
I like being able to just search and find what I want.
I mean, I like having both, so it's
collector mentality is different.
a little bit. It's like
I can't just have a digital rulebook because that would bug the shit out of me.
Yeah. What was the other thing I was going to mention? Something else. God, I had it on the tip of my tongue.
Dice?
No, dice. Yeah, dice. If it's specific dice, especially.
Again, dice you can get those.
Yeah, but if it's like command dice or something.
I found 9 dice in a bag from Adepticon that I forgot.
Yeah, but I'm saying if it's for like Dead Zone, you need specific dice like command dice. Those are specific dice, right? So you need that kind of stuff. But
that should come with the game if you're going to play.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
if they're that integral for the game, they should come with the game.
Yeah. Even if it's a limited amount, like you could buy more later, but just enough to play the box at least. Because otherwise, like Battletech, I think comes with 2d6 in it, and they're like the worst dice I've ever seen in those box sets. It's just like they're like Yahtzee dice.
Dice are dime a dozen at this point, so
especially D6. The other thing I remember, the thing I was going to think of, the one thing that Battletech does way better than Mantic and Dead Zone and any of the Mantic games is that they come with fiction in the box, and they also come with like a timeline to tell you where you are in the timeline, and backgrounds on all the things, like a lot more of that kind of stuff, which I think Mantic tends to be lacking in the background kind of stuff, which people complain about sometimes, which it's true. They did come out with that companion back in the day that was amazing, and it's available I think for free digitally online, but they should put something like that in the box sets. There you go.
You mean
that's
this?
it. Yep, the source book, right? Yep.
I like how Rob didn't ask, why do you literally have that off camera?
Mine's right over there too, so I can't say much.
Mine's downstairs.
Everything's downstairs, Pat, in the hoard.
But
the fluff. I think fluff is important because that gets you into the world.
It's definitely an important aspect because if you can't hook them with the fun of the game,
that's true.
Fluff is definitely another key factor that can draw people into the game or enhance what you're providing.
Maybe that's just me because I think the fluff's way important than the gameplay for me personally. Like if I'm into a game, I don't care how it plays really, as long as I really like the background and like the mechs or whatever in it. Like I'll be way more into a game even if the game is kind of whatever, boring or.
Yeah, absolutely. It can really elevate.
Well,
what you.
I like Battletech. It said something because those rules are not good. Alpha Strike much better.
Yeah.
People will hang me for that one because it's but it's true.
All right. Well, I think that's probably a fun little discussion that we had there. Probably a good point to wrap on. So
if anybody has their own favorite starter set, especially mech related, please post below. Let us know, because we're always looking to buy more stuff, right, Pat?
Yep, always.
Rob's got money in his wallet, just burning.
That's right. The money I never spent at Gen Con is waiting to buy a starter set. Yeah. So let us know about good starter sets and what you'd like to see in a starter set, also.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
All right, and so with that, I think we're gonna head to the ExFil and head on out.
Let's ExFil out of here.
And here we are in the ExFil, and we won't talk about Pat's hand anymore. Yeah. So thank you all for checking out the episode. Please give us a like, subscribe, and all that jazz. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, make sure to share it with your other friends and or family that likes giant robots and stompy things. And again, let us know if there's any other starter sets that really like spoke to you and you really got you into the game. Like that's a big example of a great way to start. So so with that, I've been Brian.
I've been Chopper.
And if you're at Gen Con, let us know. Why didn't you visit us? It's probably too busy.
I wasn't.
we're easygoing people.
I wasn't. I was rough. I'm glad nobody came to visit because I was barely surviving. I'm Rob.
I was not. I was nice. I'm always nice though.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
This has been Mobile Armor Radio. Join our Facebook group by searching for Mobile Armor Radio. Find us on Twitter at @MArmorRadio. Join us on the first of every month for more Mecha discussion.